Yo, what's going on, buddy? This is Don't Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we're going to discuss is we're going to talk about the NCAA and do they have a transfer problem within the NCAA. If you have not seen what's going on in the past couple weeks and even months, the NCAA, the transfer portal, when it comes to college basketball, especially college football in general, baseball, every single sport there is, the transfer portal has been a little bit of an issue. Primarily in football is what we're going to be discussing today, and what I wanted to talk about is why I think it's an issue. Now, some people said it's a big issue, some people said it's a minor issue. I'm on the side of where it's a minor issue. Some people say it's not a problem at all. I think there's a minor issue with it. People who think it's a big issue don't like the way how players can kind of just jump schools every single year, and then there's never really like a full-on commitment. So what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to kind of talk about it. We're going to discuss some things. There's going to be an article down in the description down below that has a bunch of info about kind of talking about all this stuff, so I'll leave it down there if you want to go check it out for yourself. But by the end of this video, I'm going to kind of give my opinion, like I said, if it's a good thing, bad thing for the whole transfer portal, and how I would say you could possibly tweak things, because I do think there's some things they could tweak a little bit to make it better. So without further ado, if you're going to enjoy, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, now, like I said, with the whole transfer portal, you can kind of see this whole article here. And some of the things that's been going on is they're actually trying to propose laws to make it to where players cannot just go jumping around within the transfer portal. Quick little summary, if you don't know how the transfer portal works, basically a player after the season's over, if they do not like where they're at, they don't like the school, maybe they're not getting playing time, they can just go to the head coach, the president, university, whoever, and just say, look, I don't think this is the right spot, I'm going to transfer, put their name in the hat, and they can just go anywhere else they want. But as it says here in the article, Charlie Baker, who is actually the NCAA president, said he is not in favor of rules or federal laws that would pace or place new limits on the way college athletes transfer between schools. During a wide-ranging hour-long interview with ESPN on Tuesday, Baker honored no sympathy for the many coaches who have publicly complained about the difficulties they have in maintaining stable rosters in the new college sports environment that carries fewer restrictions on players' transfers and allows for name, image, and likeness deals that have proved to be incentivized for players to consider changing teams. It says here, Baker said that he thinks the rate of transfers in college sports reflects a larger trend of all college athletes or all college students changing schools more than frequently than in the past. He says, quote, do they transfer more than they did 10 years ago? Yes. Do they transfer more than their peers who aren't student athletes? No. Baker said, quote, and basically what Baker is trying to do, he's trying to propose a bill that's going to try and at least limit the transfer portal and make it to where these guys can't just go jump ship every single year. Now, here's the thing with the transfer portal. Like I said, the way it works now is players, they can kind of just go jump ship from, if you start, say, like Alabama and you want to go to Ohio State, you can go there, and then if Ohio State still isn't giving you the playtime, you can go to Georgia, and then if they're still not giving you the playtime, you can go to like a Kentucky. You can just keep on jumping. And one of the things that Baker did kind of point out that I do think is important is, like he said, with the NIL. The NIL has kind of hurt the whole transfer portal and the way it kind of works right now. Because I think when the transfer portal kind of started, it was something good. It was an idea of like a whole NFL free agency of where if you just want to go somewhere else, you can. Like, I'm going to be honest, I like the way the transfer portal was at one point, where if you are out of school, and honestly, I like the idea of like if you are stuck there, you committed, you thought this was the place where you're going to be, you're going to play there, you're going to get some game time, you're going to possibly go to the NFL sometime soon. And if you're just sitting the bench, riding the bench, there's some guys that ride the bench for 2 to 3 years. You could sit there and say, well, get better, get it. If you play better in practice, you might get on the field. But that's not what the coach promised me. If the coach that recruited you said, we're going to get you on the field, you're at most going to sit the bench maybe a year, but by that second year, you're going to be out there on the field. Fast forward to your senior year, you still haven't even seen the field once. That's kind of why the transfer portal is there, because it allows you to say, this is taking too long, I'm going to go somewhere else. And like I've said in other videos, it gives you the opportunity to not only just go to another like school within your own conference, but maybe jump conferences. If you're like in the Big Ten or the SEC and you wanted to go to a smaller conference, like I said, a group of 5 school, an AAC, a Mountain West, you want to jump conferences as like a smaller school, somebody that's not going to maybe give you that much competition, even though it's kind of a sad way to do it, but it gives you the opportunity to go out there and play. Like, you could go to a D2, a D3, whatever it takes. Now, like I said a minute ago, the transfer portal and the whole NIL thing, I think the NIL is kind of hurting, because nowadays you see coaches that are kind of tampering with a little bit. I haven't read too much into it, but I believe Ohio State, I'm an Ohio State fan, we have kind of tweaked the rules a little bit. I've seen that Ohio State got caught for tampering with the NIL and the whole transfer portal rules. Basically, I think with the whole NIL and transfer portal, you can't try and recruit a player through the transfer portal when they're not in the transfer portal. You can't try to like persuade them into the portal. And Ohio State, I think, did something like that. Let me know in the comments if I'm getting that accurate or not. But along those lines, the way the NIL thing is working with the transfer portal is now when these guys are going to transfer portal, it's not the old school way of going, calling up this recruit and saying, hey, come to our university. Look at our locker room. Look at our football team. We can give you a national championship. Look at everything we got here. Look at the coaches. We can develop you and help you get to the NFL. Nowadays, it's just like, here's $1 million check. Take it. And it's that easy. Because I'm not gonna lie, we've seen Ohio State do it a couple of guys. Caleb Downs, the safety, Julian Sayin, the quarterback, both came from Alabama. I'm pretty sure Ohio State just gave them some blank checks. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of it. I like the way of how players can go. And I'm not gonna lie, I like the old school way of it where you had to actually hard school recruit guys. And there was a coach, I forget exactly what school he was from, but there was a coach, a college coach, that was kind of voicing his opinion in the interview. And he was saying the way recruiting is done now is so much easier than it was done before. And it's easier as long as you got some deep ass pockets. Because back in the day, you had to go and you had to constantly travel and you had to constantly be in, like, say you had like 5 guys that you wanted to be at your school. You had to go hard at these kids and you had to be there, make sure they feel like you're a father figure, get them to love you, get them to be like looking up to you and make sure they want to be at your school. Nowadays, you could just go to the school, drop off a check and say, you come to our school, that's all yours. And if you're a big time school, like I said, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, you name all these big time D1 schools. If you're one of those schools, it's gonna be so easy to recruit. But if you're somebody who's not really winning the national championship that often, or not even winning your conference that often, some of these smaller schools, it's gonna be tough. Now, I'm not saying going to some of these smaller schools is gonna be a bad thing. Like I said, going to these smaller schools might actually help you in the way of where, like I said, going to these big time schools, you might have struggles getting on the field. Going to these smaller schools, you might see the field immediately day one as a true freshman. Now to kind of wrap it up, here's kind of how I would fix the transfer portal. First things first, like with the transfer portal, right now the way it works is you can kind of just jump ship. And the way it worked before was if you transferred, you could not actually play the season after. You had to kind of forfeit a season, almost like a red shirt, and you had to wait to the next season. The way I would do it now is you can transfer one time. One time you can transfer. The whole NIL thing with like paying players, trying to recruit them through paychecks, you can still do that. I think that's still going to be a thing with the whole way NIL works nowadays. It's not going anywhere. But when it comes to the transferring multiple times, make it to where you can only do it one time. Because then it makes these kids sit the bench and they might sit that freshman year and just think, oh, I'm not getting playtime. Okay, I'm just going to go here. Oh, sophomore year, I didn't get any playtime. I'm going to go here. It makes them really think and sit that freshman year and then wonder, maybe I'll sit here this sophomore year. Maybe I'll go harder in practice. Maybe I'll do everything I can. Maybe you'll get the opportunity to go play at that year. Or maybe it'll make these kids think harder about whenever they go to transfer about like, oh, maybe I'll just give this school a shot. Oh, maybe I'll give this school a shot. No, you better make sure you get it right because whatever you pick, you're there. And I do think there needs to be a little bit of accountability with these kids because I've said it before. Like I said, I think it's a good thing for the transfer portal to be here, but they shouldn't abuse it. And right now, they're basically just fucking abusing it. 1 second you're over here, the next second you're down here, the next second you're up there, then you're over here, then you're over here. It's like fucking pick a school. I just think with the way the transfer portal works nowadays, the long days of you are an alumni of this school, you are loyal to this school. Man, I went there and I played 3 years. I went here and I played 4 years. I went here and played 5 years. Those days are just done. Nowadays, most of the time you see a star player, they're mostly transfers. And I ain't even kidding. You go back and look at the guys. Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, all the guys that have been Heisman's the past couple years, Caleb Williams, all of them were transferred. So kind of wrapping it up, like I said in the beginning, the transfer portal, it's a good thing. It needs to they just need to make sure players don't abuse the shit out of it. And I would still keep it around. Like I said, the only change I would make, one-time transfer, and that's it. Keep the NIL. It's still a good thing to kind of have the NIL there. It gives the players a chance to get paid still, but one-time transfer, that is it. But other than that, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go on to enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure you go and drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. If you want to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. Like I said, if you have a different opinion on the transport, if you think it's a good thing, bad thing, if you like the points I made, dislike the points I made, leave your complete opinion down in the comment section down below. Be more going to talk about with you guys. If you're a fan of the content that I do poster and you want to go and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post. But without further ado, this has been Donald Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.